It's just so much to look at. We've got 10 acres worth, and not all of it is filled with earthworks, but there's a lot to look at. What's going on, everyone? I'm Brandon, and this is the Greening the Desert Project. It was an exciting monsoon season this year, especially this was our first year and our first experience of the monsoon season. And we're here in northern Arizona at an elevation of approximately 5,060 to 5,100 feet. So we're a high mountain desert. So we've done a lot of our earthworks that have built up the gabion wallopini here. So we'll be getting back to that next week, and we'll show everyone how far we've gotten on that. Sit back and enjoy the rain and all of our earthworks filling up with water. Oh, these clouds just came out of nowhere. Sitting, editing some film, and all these clouds all of a sudden formed, and now it's sprinkling. All right, it's starting to come down in a little bit bigger drops now. And it looks like these clouds are kind of sticking around us, at least. Bring on more rainwater. We're gonna get our stuff filled back up soon yet. Funny after all that, how the sound it's just dead quiet. No sound, no wind. That was pretty good. That seemed like a lot of water, so we'll actually go and check on the rain gauge and see how much we got from that spurt. As we still got clouds coming around, we'll see we got, hey, it's a little over a 1/10 of an inch. It's better than nothing. We'll see after the storm passes, all these clouds and stuff like that, and we'll see kind of the total that we end up with, and if we actually do get more rain after this even. Just another day, and we might get some more clouds. Or we might get some rain with those clouds, we'll see. All this is kind of coming towards us at least, so we'll see how the wind changes, and if it continues its path towards us. Everything seems like it's slowly moving towards us. She gave us the old runaround. We're getting some sprinkles, but nothing really. I think we're just gonna get the edge of this little rain cloud passing us. Who knows, maybe the winds will change. We got that much more puddling that went on, and we can even see water is starting, it's running down this part of the road here, part of the pathway. So let's go check out, see how much of these puddles are going on here. And then we got our straw. Cool to see. Gotta kind of move quick walking around here because our soil is so sandy that that takes a significant amount of rain even for sheet flow and all this puddling to even start happening. We just have a lot of soil penetration. Looks like we got some water already in our swales though. keep filming. This is a spot that actually where the goats were, so we can thank the goats for all the little divots and potholes that they made that are now capturing the rainwater. It's another spot where we were plucking rocks out, so you can see where all the little divots in most of these spots here where we took rocks out are now gathering and pooling rainwater. Now we're here at our property line. So this will be the point, since it's our property line and we're getting to our property corner actually, this will be a point where we do want to add a lot more basins. Pretty much how we've plucked the rocks and made all of these little pools, we're going to definitely want to create more basins to hold on to as much of the water as we can before it leaves the property basically. This is all where we plucked rocks. We took rocks out and all these little pockets that we've made for water to pool in. And it's super cool to just see how removing all these rocks, what we've done and what we've created essentially for the rainwater harvesting, but also cool to see that we are soaking and storing more water in our landscape here. Just gonna kind of walk around and see certain areas, like this area is where the goats had been moved through. Walking along our driveway path. This was our path that we had worked on before we even got to the building location. And you can see our rocks and how we've made kind of these swale rolling dips and kind of rock check dams combined in them. But it's again, all these little pockets where water's being held are a lot of these spots where we took rocks and dug rocks out of the ground to either move out of the way or help build up the pathway, as you can kind of see. So we're at the bottom of our driveway ramp. You can see all these spots where rocks were taken out and it was kind of dug in. We've got a nice pool of water that gathered up. And that's essentially what this beginning portion of the driveway ramp is supposed to do, is comes to this low spot, and we'll need to stack gravel and rocks and stuff still, but it's supposed to slope and drive water to this corner and through the rocks and kind of down the way. So we can see that this area is doing its job, along with how there's all the little pockets where big rocks used to be. So you can see the way that our driveway path is. We have it leading and knowing some of the spots and the low points where water is going to gather. That's where you can see we've dug out this area previously when we were working on the driveway path here. And we've got our rock check swale basically. But you can see all the water that thing gathered. And we got the coyotes and the dogs howling. So we're towards the bottom here. We're at our first rolling dips here off in the distance, but this is essentially what we want our rolling dips to do. We want our rolling dips at a slight angle of the water flow off of the road so that it stays drier, at least on the pathway, and less muck for driving. But then at the same time, we want to be able to try and gather this water and direct it to places that we want. So this rolling dip is unfinished, but it's still doing its job. It's funneled the water to this corner. So we've got a nice pool. You can see my gravel because I wasn't finished. But this is what we want things to do here. There's just so much to look at. We've got 10 acres worth, and not all of it is filled with earthworks, but there's a lot to look at. Just from that little storm, look how much water we caught in this thing. That's a whole lot. That's a few hundred gallons off of that liner connected to it. Major water catchment, even for a drizzle and not a huge downpour at least. This is the evidence of these one rock high check dams and one rock high sheet flow spreaders, essentially. You can see how much water is actually backed up on this end from this ditch along our driveway path here. And you can see how much water is backed up there and compared to how much is actually trickling out here. So we can see how much sediment and how much buildup and slowing of the water, which will equate to more of this water soaking into the ground as opposed to continuing to run down the ditch as it has. But that's why we have a little bit of a series of rock check dams along the way. We're going to continue to build more of these up and just have spots along the way just to have rock check dams and one rock high check dams. But that's super cool to see. Super cool to see how much water that little bit of rock stacking there is slowing and soaking more of that water here. All right, we definitely got some storms coming overhead, so Nika is preparing the tent so it doesn't flap around too much, and I'm gonna get all the solar covered, and we're gonna kinda get prepped for all of this. This could be our big storm. And here it comes. We're poncho ready. Umbrella check. I think this is what monsoon season is supposed to be about. Big old crack. Super windy. Kind of makes me more glad that we don't have the tarp on that because of how strong of the winds we're getting here. Definitely gonna have to wait for the wind to die down a little bit before venturing out. It's gonna just blow and take me away like Mary Poppins. Now we got some good rain coming down. Got some good water coming down still. We've got some nice puddles. And we've got everything leading into our basins, into our swales. It's awesome. And we can notice the sheet flow that was going on before compared to the area that has the straw. Look how much more we don't really have the puddling. We can step in these spots even, and we've got way more moisture, or we've got way more water being penetrated into this soil because of the straw compared to here down the road. We've got all of this water running. So that's what all of these earthworks are definitely meant to be doing is helping to slow and soak more of this water into our landscape. We can come to our rolling dip that we made here, see our water pooling, but then we see how our water is actually flowing and flowing through the rocks, being slowed and carrying down the way too. Super cool to see all this water. Seeing it all run. So it really does take us to get the heavier rain for this water to really start sheet flowing. You can see how our straw is making an impact on slowing and helping soak more of the water too. And on the end of our swale, look at on the end of our swale here, we are collecting some rainwater. Go take a look at some other spots. Got some good running water that we're slowing in a lot of spots. Especially our spots with the straw. Yeah, there's so much to look at. There is a lot to look at here. We got all this water being backed up now. We've got our gathering point swale. All that water. All that water. We're slowing it down from our path here even. And we'll be moving on. Wow. Yeah, and then look at how much we've already gathered in this one. We can get to some of our other stuff here. Our water running down this vein. Yeah, wow. Ton of water. Look at all that water. Look at how this area here, pooling and slowly falling down the hill. And then slowly coming up to the swale and being able to be emptied into it. And we do have an overfill, so all this is flowing down. Nice. This is awesome. This is super cool to see. Look at all that water we just stopped and slowed. Stopped and slowed all this water. I'll run over here quick. So all this that's coming down this way. This is overfilling and then filling into this basin here. Got all this filling. And we can see, because we didn't finish the swale across, we've got this water that is skipping past it and then coming down this way. And we've got this spot that is funneling water all through here. And then look what we've done with our tree branches and such from cutting. So all the posts that we've been cutting and the tree branches and stuff, this is what I've been doing with them off to the side, is placing them in a lot of these crevices and points where I know water is flowing to. And so we're creating basically a little beaver dam. And we can see that that's actually helping contribute to slowing at least a little bit of the water. And then we can stack rocks and make a culture mound or anything. But then we've got this water. This is a great example because now we can see how exactly this water is flowing from down this area here. And so now we can actually make way better adjustments for capturing more of this water runoff here, knowing where it's coming from and the direction and flow that it's taking. So now we can place more check dams, especially with all these rocks here. We can do more check dams and sheet flow spreaders and plenty of other earthworks. Our property edge again pooled up a lot of water down here. You can see how we've marked the property line, but at the same time we're creating basically a little dam with the wood to help hold back more of this rainwater when it comes. I'm gonna keep on walking. Going to the next earthworks here. Lots of pooling and puddling. Yeah, wow. You can really see where our water's flowing. Yeah, look at all that. Nice, look at these things. These filled up. Now let's keep walking along. We just got puddles of water being held everywhere here. And then this is our entrance even before you get to our build site. Look how much water we just slowed down from coming down the way like that. Nice, that's awesome. Can come to our other points. We've got our basin here. We've got our basin here close to the chickens. We've definitely caught some water in that. And then that's the continuation of the swale. So we still have to finish kind of this basin swale here, but it's at least built up enough that it's still holding back water. Holy buckets. Wow. That was awesome. This is super cool to see. So here's our old build site. You can see how even our old build site is now capturing and soaking more of this rainwater. Look at all that. Everything just keeps building up more and more. Look at all this water. And you see how our rolling dip kind of works, and see how it's slowed all this water, and then we have our overfill right there, so it's almost at the overfill point. And then it funnels that water over here to all the rest of these rocks. So we've got all these different places holding water and soaking it in. Still drizzling too. And we've got this spot that's filled up again. And this is an area where we had dug previously while building our driveway path. So this had got dug out and now is helping slow and store more water. See, we're slowing water here. Super cool. Yeah. These were our basins that we dug in the very beginning. Now look at all that water we're stashing here. Can see our rolling dip and see how that is now funneling water and directing it towards this other area where we had scooped up a little bit at least. And now that spot is holding more water. Let's go to our other little basins here. We got a little basin here. And then coming down. Wow, this is super cool. This is awesome. And then we had been digging material out while building our driveway path. And this is the result of carefully selecting spots and how we do excavate the material that we need for building around here. So we're doing things with intention, and we're not just digging spots out just because. We're actually trying to form things, or at least chisel things out somewhat so we can come back later and finalize everything. But we can see how even a little bit of chiseling can have a major impact. And dodging through stuff. Nice. You can see our water vein where the water is traveling. And if anyone remembers the Zuni Bowl video, you know, look at what our Zuni Bowl is doing now. That looks like harvesting some rainwater. So once that if that overfills, then that will roll over to here, over to our second Zuni bowl. So you can see we didn't get enough to overfill that and have it cross over and fill this one, but it was enough at least to fill that one up. And that's super cool to see how well that worked. You can see some of our other. So right before the Zuni bowl, we have another little swale. So this will slow water, and as it exits, it will exit and go out to the Zuni bowl. Holy buckets. Holy cow, yeah, this one filled up nicely. Look at that. Wow. How much water we gathered in that. This is exactly what we were doing with this part of coming up and over. So we've created a somewhat rock tube for water to actually penetrate and go underneath how we've built up this ramp. And now it funnels through all of this, but at a slower rate so that we're continuing to slow water. So this side funnels through the rocks underneath that we built this up with and funnels out to over here and helps fill this part of the swale up, while still having our ramp that goes up and over this thing. Super cool to see. So let's follow this swale. We gathered some good water up in this swale. All right, we still got some more to see. We're gonna come over to our compost. We've got all this puddling, and it was known from the very beginning just with the contour of everything and the slope. So we've got all this water coming at us towards this way, draining into our different water veins that we have. And look at that water stoppage. Look at what we've done right there. That's awesome. Holy cow. So now we've stopped and slowed a whole bunch of water that otherwise would have kept draining down this way. We've got even a little rock check dam right there. Go find some more stuff. Bunch of water flow. We even had water come up and over and start draining over that way. Look at the path that it takes. Come over to one of our Zuni bowls here. Nice. Got some water fillage in there. See this spot, how it's this nice swale before the ditch. So you can see right this swale before the ditch here and how that slowed that water right before it comes in. Look at all this water got backed up right here because of this rock that sits right inside of there. A one rock check dam. Our rock check dams are still working. Super cool to see how much water this thing backs up. And we can't forget about some of our other swales over here. Got a little bit in our zuni bowl. Not too bad. This is what we've done with the rocks, all this stuff that has started growing in between the rocks more. Wow. And so our ditch on this side with all the rock check dams drains into our zuni bowl here, which this thing is full. Look how much water is in there. Wow. Thing's damn near full. And then that overfills. When that gets full, that drains into this other swale. So then we have our other swale here. All this water that we've slowed and soaked in. We got through that first storm, and not even an hour later, we've already got another storm about to head our way. Back-to-back storms. So I got up early this morning. We had that storm last night, but it was a pretty nice burst of rain, and we've definitely filled up some water in all of our basins here. Because it happened later last night, I just didn't get the chance really to venture out and look around, and especially I wouldn't have been able to film anything. It was just dark, pitch dark out. But let's see how much rain we got last night. Nice. We got almost a half an inch from that rain last night. That's awesome. That's a lot of water at once. There's some of these basins and some of these swales that are still holding water. So it's cool to see, and we'll kind of get a gauge as well on how long it takes to soak in a lot of these different spots. So how long it'll take the water to drop down and soak all the way in. And so that actually might give us better insight on some of these spots where maybe we want to dig a little bit deeper, or maybe build it up in a way where it can hold water all year round, basically. Got another spot where the water already soaked in, so we can know that this is a good infiltration spot, and I think that's just partially the trees and the roots that were already down in there that are probably helping create more air pockets and spaces for the water to soak into. That's how much water we soaked in the wheelbarrow. Or collected, actually. I think this tarp has a hole in it somewhere because you can see where the water had come up to and it had already dropped overnight. So I'll end up trying to get this water out as quickly as possible, and then we'll be able to start using all the water in that basin as well. And hopefully in the next couple days we'll be getting some storms so that we actually can see how that Zuni bowl works. Just getting the Zuni bowl finished up and then we get some rain. Oh, wow. We've got earthworks and rainwater harvesting techniques to improve, and especially after this storm came, it gave the ultimate insight as to how much we actually can flood out on our property and how much water that we potentially could be gathering here. Getting some hail. Holy buckets. A super cool mix of hail that came down. Those are about marble size. Holy cow. Here we go, here's one. Jeez. We got a lot of work to do so we can hold on to all this water like this. This is crazy. That was a big old downburst. Holy buckets, dude. Dude, that came down super quick. Wow. That was a crazy downpour. Look, there's a puddle in this. Look at this one. Barely any standing water compared to these other spots. So that straw really is holding up. So you can see on our rolling dip spot, this is probably a spot we need to build up a little bit bigger and stack rocks. But you can see how much water that thing slowed down all the way up our pathway here. A lot of water. We got a lot to see. We're up here. Here's this basin. We're up towards our southeastern corner of our property. So this is where we had done a lot of earlier earthworks. Sorry for the jerkiness a little bit. There's a lot to see, and at the same time, this water just drains so quickly. I mean, everything is already done running for the most part. We can see how much water we gathered. See, in the spot with the straw, barely any puddling. Barely any puddling. We got a little bit, but it got moist in there. And look at this swale that doesn't have any straw to it. How much water this thing gathered. That's crazy. Look at all that. It's awesome. So we were gathering water all the way On the other property that's uphill from us, and all of that water comes down and comes into our swale. This is closer to our southeastern property corner. So we had a lot of this swale fill up. Look at all that water. And we got all the water coming from this pathway, coming down. Looks like the straw helps out a little bit, kind of damming up the water and sediment. Then this thing just filled right up. Look at all that water. And we can see how this part of the swale filled up. So this was from all of our materials, our scrap materials from sifting for the rammed earth. We've slowly been building swales with our extra material, and it's proven to work. Here's one of our basins. So we got a nice refill on that. And then the little swale that I started digging next to it, that's nice and filled up. And this is coming out our driveway path. So this spot likes to catch a lot of water. You can see coming off the house, we've got a little bit of rock check dams to help slow it. But then we've got this nice rolling dip with some rocks that helps slow down a lot of this water. Here's a basin where the chickens used to be by. But this basin that we need to extend out still a little bit, that one filled up really nicely. Looks like a cappuccino. Awesome. Look at how much this one filled up. Got a lot of water off of that. Oh, and then our messy fencing that's right there, helping slow down some of the straw actually. Yeah, and then this one gathered up a bunch. Drained off from here, so this thing had a bunch of water and it spilled off. Spilled off that way. We're now traveling more northwest on our properties, and here is another one of our basins. It's all nice and filled up. It's awesome. And we're coming up to one of our rolling dips that stops a good amount of water, that's for sure, off all of this area over here. So we can actually see all that water comes this way when things get intense and they try to come this way, and we actually had already built this up. So now we've started soaking a lot more spread of the area as opposed to it coming just down the way in a more snake-like single stream kind of deal. You can see the overfill. We've got kind of two overfills. We've got overfill on one side that goes into the tree and all that organic material in there. And then we have this other exit point that comes off of these rocks. So rocks that are already placed there, we don't have to build that up to kind of fortify it for the runoff or for the exit and overflow. But then all of that essentially overflows into this basin right here. And this one definitely caught some. All these different spots where we've pulled rocks out and moved rocks to the side. You can see all of our rocks in our pile. But then look at our old build area. This is crazy. We've basically cleared out a way on our old build site for maximizing more rainwater catchment. So even though this was the old build site, now this actually functions more like an earthwork or just a giant basin. So now look at all this water that's spread out a good ways. So we got good surface area coverage for the water to soak in. So that should equate to a lot more greenery popping up in this area and getting more water soaked in. And as we venture down our driveway path, we kind of have a little rock swale built up here. So all this water essentially gets backed up. You can see our little pockets for where rocks were pulled out. So that also helps with holding back the water. And then we've got our first kind of rolling rock dip kind of deal. And this is actually planned out in a way where we can see the water get stopped in the middle. We're down on our driveway, pretty much towards the end of our property and our neighbor's property. But these are our beginning swales that we dug before we moved here, actually. We can see now that we're holding and backing up a lot of water. That's super deep. That's about a foot or two deep. Yeah, look how far my muck boot goes in. If I go any farther, how far my muck boot goes in. That's how deep this water is. All the way up that. So that's almost a foot. And then the overfill from this swale, it's definitely greened up a whole lot. But this is the overfill, and it definitely overfilled. Sent some water down the way. Filled up our Zuni bowl, the first one and the second one, to where it's overfilling into our culvert pipe. And even this swale is overfilling, so this is the level spillway for it. You can see how full this one is. And we come over to the other Zuni bowl. This side is super filled up. That's to the brim there. And that just got about to the brim on our little broken end. The cows that had broke that part, we got to build that up some more. But this filled up this whole area. Oh, if I don't slip and fall. So we can see how it's flooded a lot of this raised up part where the tree is. And this was our broken spot. I had patched up with some rocks so we don't lose any more water. But luckily that overfills into this ditch, which leads over to this other Zuni bowl by our neighbors. See how everything has led to this other double Zuni bowl, and look at all that sediment that's up in there now. Now we can scoop all that out and use that for other swales and garden beds. We see where it's all leading to into the culvert pipe there. And then same with this side all drains into it. And then here's a little ways up from the driveway, another swale that we have on the property, close to the driveway itself. Well, we can see this one filled up real nicely. Man, it pretty much filled up this basin that we have dug out here. Look at all that water. That's crazy. This thing filled up mad. Look how level it is with the ground itself. So now we're spreading more of the water up on the raised part. It's great. Our double swale, as one of our viewers had put it. So this berm backs up the hill and stops water like that. And then we have the ditch that leads from that Zuni bowl. And then we have a rolling dip that any water coming down that way hits that, gets driven to the Zuni bowl, and then comes down this way. So we do have more to do on the ditch itself. Like, we're gonna do more to help slow that water down and not have it just cruising down this whole ditch line here. So that's in the future. That's to come. 'And here's our Zuni bowl, not even 20 minutes later, already draining and soaking a lot of water in. That was crazy. Four-tenths of an inch. After seeing the amount of rain come down and the amount of water that was flowing down the south side of our property, I was super eager to actually start marking out the earthworks on this portion and the bigger actual earthworks that we've got going on. And we're definitely going to need the big machinery for the big earthworks that we've got planned for this spot. And we already got another storm on the way. And now we're stopping it at one checkpoint. And then we can see, coming to our Zuni bowl spot, we can see all this water that's now traveling down. And now we're stopping it at one checkpoint. And then we can see our point where we built our Zuni bowl, and our Zuni bowl is already filling up. We're stashing water up. Just stashing that much more water in our soil. And then this was a recent trouble spot. All the water was flowing down the way here. So now we've checked that with a swale, just a shovel depth of a swale that leads it over to this little boomerang swale where water used to be going through here, but now we'll let that overfill and that will lead over to this checkpoint. You can see how much water we're already stashing here. Now you can see the effect of when we remove rocks from our landscape and we build them up. Now we've created little mini bowls, or mini Zuni bowls, so to speak, that are now going to be capturing and holding more water for our really nice pine tree that we've got growing here. So we'll help further water this tree since it's very healthy, and we'll keep it growing really nice. Here's our other spot that's a little bit farther, more southwest of our property. You can see this area likes to gather up puddles and develops the sheet flow rather quickly over here. So it'll be wise for us to do multiple Zuni bowls as well as basins and little rock check dams and little beaver dams so that we promote more of the grass growing, and we promote more water being slowed and stopped at this point so we can grow more stuff. So we recently had done this little rock check dam as well, and now we've gotten this whole area to start flooding out and kind of leveling itself and terracing itself and allowing more of the water to start flowing up the hill, because this is a higher point. So most of the water drains down this way, and you can see all the greener grass that grows because it travels that way. So our goal will be to help spread the water further out across this whole landscape and help kind of level everything out so that we start getting more even sheet flow across this whole sandy, rocky area, and we get more grass growth. We can really play detective when we are looking at how the rain interacts with our landscape, and we can get ideas like right here. See this little pathway? We can kind of see the path that the water takes. So we don't need to have any special tools or leveling gauges to see where the water levels itself off or where the water takes the least resistant path. And so we can note these points for doing earthworks later. So like right here, we could probably do a really big basin to help hold a lot more of the water in this part. And then we can have a checkpoint over here. Since there's so many rocks, we can make a rock check dam and kind of direct the water over to that future basin where it will be. So then we'll stop water from flowing further down this way, because the water continues to go this way and down the hill and off of our property. And so this is kind of the culmination point of a lot of the water that comes off of the southeast and the southwestern portion of our property over here. And so this was actually a spot where we're gathering rocks and material for the gabion wallapini. But this is also a major crucial point that we wanted to clear out so that we can do multiple basins and multiple points of water holding that we'll probably end up putting rubber liner in so that we have a permanent water holding feature so that we can further water the landscape or fruit trees and other stuff like that. But the big concept will be slowing and zigzagging and allowing a lot more of this water to soak into the landscape as opposed to how it continuously runs down. And so this is just a slow development, and we're only 2 people, but it's great to be able to see how the water interacts with our landscape. So we'll know more when we start getting more intense on the earthworks building. We'll know a lot more of these major areas that we need to work on and what needs probably the most help out of everything. And so that's where we can follow some of the water paths here, the little water veins, and know that we could probably check a lot of these different spots even. Like right here, I could check this spot right now. We'll do that. And right after the storm, and then my microphone got weird. But we can see how the water is now sitting in the bowl and is now slowly being soaked into the ground and has caught a bunch of sediment. And that is exactly what the Zuni Bowl is about. Now you can see how we had built up this area a little bit more, and now we're slowing and capturing that much more water before it hits the Zuni Bowl over there. Now we have one of our swales over here, and we'll check that in a minute. But this open space here is where the water vein used to be, and then we actually kind of dug a little bit of a swale here. So now we've checked this area, and when this overfills, it's actually been dug out so that it leads to the other swale right over there. And we've caught that much more water in our pond. And that nice little rain spurt got us almost 3/10 of an inch there. Maybe 0.28 or 0.29 inches. How nice and green everything is. It's pretty funny actually, when we added up all of the rain throughout the monsoon season, we came to a total of 4.5 inches of total rain for the season. But for our case, I mean, it's not too bad. And I mean, it's just an experience, and it's something to observe and to take with us into next year. Well, looks like you were too busy again, dazed and confused over all that rainwater. Just kidding. But seriously, we've gotten a whole lot done, and there's a whole lot to actually show you. So let's go check it out.